Welcome to Mind Changers Podcast. What's going on, Sean Atkinson?
What's going on, Lamar, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see everybody back tonight. How's
Yes.
everybody doing out there?
Listen, I hope y'all doing good. Listen, we want to welcome y'all to episode 5 of Mind Changers Podcast. As again, I'm your host, Lamar Blakely, with my co-pilot, Mr. Sean Atkinson. In today's final episode of Project 2025, we will be diving deep into the nucleus family, officer immunity, women's rights, and the Department of Education. So join us
Yep.
as we explore the implications of these issues and their impact on society. Let us get started.
Mind Changers International, changing lives for the better. Our vision is to be a transformative platform that exposes lies and reveals the truth. Mind Changers International, we on a mission, masking the falsehoods with every new edition. We're here to enlighten your mind with this vibration, expose the lies, speaking truth, normal conversations. Mind Changers International, we on a mission, masking the falsehoods.
Welcome to Mind Changers Podcast. Hey, we got another exciting episode.
Yeah.
I got my
Definitely.
sidekick. Listen, I hope
What's
y'all
up,
had a wonderful week as Mind Changers Podcast is coming back as we talk about, the implications of Project 2025. And we show you guys, how we can really have a great conversation and dive deep into the issues that will impact our lives concerning Project
Absolutely.
2025. I
Absolutely.
said 2025. I said it more than one time. Yes. So, Sean,
man.
how was your studies this week, man?
Oh man, yeah, just more. It's just more stuff as we dive in. As you and I, were saying, there's just so much stuff in there that just can hurt.
Yes.
Hurt democracy, hurt people from just trying to live their lives. I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, we're over here and we're talking about democracy being hurt and all that, but I think the most biggest implication is just people being able to live their lives the best way they see fit.
Yeah,
and that right there, that's the biggest thing for me right now.
And for me, that baffles me, Sean, is that I see people walking around. I see them, going on with their life as normal, as if nothing is wrong. And
Right.
I don't see from my perspective, because every time I ask somebody, and I do a test, y'all, I do a fact test with people. I say, hey man, have you heard about Project 25? Oh no, I ain't heard nothing about it. Or
I know.
I heard about it, but I hadn't looked into it, or I hadn't
Right.
investigated it. One thing I learned in ministry, you have to instigate an investigation. We here on Mind Changers Podcast have been instigating an investigation for 5 weeks.
Yeah.
I hope that we've given you some great information. I hope that we have provided you with some insights to stimulate your brain to say, hey, you know what? I need to figure out what Salt and Pepper is talking about. I'm pepper, he's salt. So what are they talking about? These guys keep saying Project 2025. You're hearing it on the news. If you saw the Democratic convention, the Wayans guy brought somebody up there who's, married to the same sex partner and say, hey, under Project 2025, you can't do this. Now, listen, I'm in ministry, but when it comes to somebody's decision, who am I to challenge it? I know what God says. I know what I believe says. But at the same time, we are free moral agents on this planet, this earth. And we have a right to choose whether we disagree or not. So
That's right.
to take people rights away from them is crazy. And I know I'm doing a lot of talking, Sean. I just got a lot on my mind. We live in a country, man, where Christians are not the only people here. Judaism, Muslims, Islam. There are so many different faith-based groups in the world that don't believe what we all believe. And so,
or if you want to go one further, that people just don't believe in faith-based groups, period. I mean, they don't believe in nothing but themselves and what they have to offer to the world.
Yeah, that's true.
And we can't spit on them. I mean, they still have to have the opportunity to live their life the way they see fit.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we just want to educate. That's all we come here to do is educate. We only know what we study. So if somebody thinking that we think we know everything, no, we just know what we studied. And it's so much, it will take years to unpack Project 2025, to peel back the onion. It will take a long time. This is a college course for 4 years.
It is.
And they did that for a reason. You cannot study something that was done in over 50 years, that was created over 50 years ago. Well, close to 50 years ago. And me and Sean think we can get up here and unpack it. We're probably not even 5% into the 922 page manifesto. So we're just giving you things that, that fits the norm for us to kind of have a great conversation about it. And so tonight we're going to talk about the nucleus family. We're going to talk about the immunity, federal immunity for police officers. We're going to talk about women's rights and the Department of Education. This is our last episode. So if you want to go back and look at some of the things that we talked about prior to this episode, listen, in the description, there is our YouTube link. Click on it. Listen, leave us some comments. Let us know if we're doing a good job. If we're not doing a good job, everybody's not going to like what we do. And that's fine.
That's right.
We're here for those who want to appreciate what we do. And for those who don't, it'll make us work harder because we want to earn your viewership. We just don't want you to watch us because we two guys up here talking. We want to earn your viewership. So tell us how we can earn your viewership. What you got to say about that, Sean?
Yeah, absolutely. And not to mention, with this being our last on this Project 2025, now we release you guys. Once this podcast is over, we release you to go even further and look into it even further. Find some stuff that we didn't find. Peel back part of the onion that we didn't see, and go out and talk about it. Start your own podcast. Get on Facebook. I mean, talk about it because we're still a few months away from this election, and we have got to make sure that everybody understands what we're voting for, because we're not voting for Donald Trump. We're voting for a complete change in the way of life. We're voting for a government that wants to completely control the citizenship of this country. We're going to be voting for a party that once did not believe in big government, but now they want big government to come in and tell you exactly what it is you can do with your body, with what you believe, with how you want to love as an individual, with how you want to worship. And that is not the path we need to go down. We do not need to go down the path to where we force anything on anybody. I always want people to come to my reality, under their own willing volition. I want them to see it and feel it for themselves. But the last thing I want to do is beat them over the head with it.
That's right. That's not what we're here for. So since we're going to be talking about nucleus family, so Project 2025 really focus on the idea of the nucleus family. Now, the Bible focuses on the idea of the nucleus family from what we believe, right? Which basically means having two parents, usually a mother and father, raising their kids together. They believe that Project 25, the creators of it believe that this setup is super important to provide support, to nurture an environment that is more conducive for the child. We know in a real world, there are a lot of families where they have that and the children chose what they chose. It doesn't guarantee you that
it does not.
Because you have a mom and a dad in the house, they could be a doctor, a lawyer. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that because you have a base family, biblically based family, the perfect thing, a picket fence, a house, mom and dad. It doesn't mean that these children are going to grow up to be super good people. Doesn't mean that.
Or not even super good people, but people that walk the way of life you want them to walk, because they can still be super good people. I mean, here it is. Works is not what we're looking for. Everybody can do good works, but this administration feels like you have to do good works in what looks like for them. what they look like.
Yeah.
And not to mention, when we're going to go into the nuclear, the family nucleus, this administration also believes if you're a woman who don't want children, that you're less than nothing.
Yeah.
To me, that is crazy that you're going to tell a woman if she's willingly able to have children and she does not want to have children, that she should not have a voice. She shouldn't be able to vote because you don't believe in the true American way. If a woman doesn't want to have a child, if she chooses not to get pregnant, and I'm not even talking about the abortion part of it, if the woman chooses not to bear a child, not to get pregnant at all, because she wants to focus on something else in life, that should not diminish her voice whatsoever.
Yeah, yeah. And so, we're going to get into that too when we get to women's rights. But, one of the things I have in my notes, like one of the key aspects that Project 2025 wants to develop is a psychological, healthy home. Nobody disagrees with that. And me and Sean was talking about that today. I said, everything in it is not bad, but it's so much bad that the good don't even matter. You're like, no, because they want to force a nationalist society based off of Christendom. And we know we live amongst, as I said earlier, I don't want to repeat myself, but we live amongst different groups of people. United States is a melting pot.
It is
a melting pot, blended all together, different people with different beliefs, different psychologies, ideologies, all the ologies. So
that's right.
We got a video, Sean, our first video, and I'm gonna play that. We're gonna talk about that video. But listen, don't y'all forget to subscribe to our channel. It's in the description. Click on that channel. Listen, share this podcast with friends and family. If you're a person who don't want to read, 922 pages, by all means, just listen to some of our content. And if you inbox me, I can send you some videos that it ain't me and Sean talking, somebody giving you facts, like some congresswomen, congressmen, people from a political background who can dissect this like an attorney. So let's take a look at this video.
2025, efforts at promoting diversity should be repealed and replaced with policies that support what it calls the formation of, quote, stable married nuclear families, end quote. In other words, the authors of Project 2025 believe that they, the government, should have the right to dictate what your family should look like, extending the arm of government into your home, into your bedroom, to enforce a Christian nationalist worldview.
There we go. A Christian nationalist world. I mean, as for choosing a partner, the project encourages people to find someone who shares the same values, right? But at the same time, if a man want to marry a man, they're going to have a problem. If a woman want to marry a woman, they're going to have a problem. They're trying to police your bedroom.
That's right.
They're trying to police your bedroom. What you think about that, Sean?
Yeah, not only are they, not only is this going to go down the road of same-sex marriages, but this is going to go down the road of interracial marriages, plain and simple. I mean, because this whole ordeal is attempting to align the states that want to align themselves to this federal rule. Because we are in where we separate the state and the federal government. These states want to be able to separate themselves so that they can rule themselves the way they want to outside of federal rule. They've always wanted to do that. But now this Project 2025 mimics the federal rule that these states want to adopt. So now you're going to have states that are going to come in and say, you know what? I don't want whites and blacks together. I don't want blacks and Hispanics together. I don't want whites and Hispanics together. So you guys cannot marry. Not only can you not marry, you know what? Your marriage is null and void. I don't even think y'all should have been married in the first place. And that is a dangerous place because there is nothing biblical that says that a black man, a white woman can't be together, a white man, black woman can't be together, Korean and white, Korean and black. There's nothing biblical that says that they cannot be together, but they are creating man-made laws to say that they can't be together. Now, the whole aspect of same-sex marriages. There are scriptures where they say that man should not lay with man, women should not lay with woman, and I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. But we cannot, as a government, say that a man can't marry a man and a woman can't marry a woman. We can't, as a government, say that they can't, because a government has to represent everyone. And even if it does not line themselves with what you believe, even if it does not line themselves of how you live your life, you still have to allow them to live their life, as long as it is not harming anyone, as long as somebody somewhere is not being harmed and somebody's rights are not being infringed upon. Now, when I say the word rights, you have Christians out there to say you're going against my rights because I don't believe in it and I should not be able. You should not make me have to accept it. No, that is not going against your rights. That's going against your personal belief. That's going against your comfort zone. That's not hurting any Christian out there that does not believe in same-sex marriage. If you don't believe in it, then you don't practice it. But you still have to allow your neighbors, if they want to do it, you have to allow them to be able to do it.
And also, Sean, basically what the project wants to do, they want you to consider who you marry based off of the rules and regulations that they set forth, right?
That's right.
This project 2025, when it comes to choosing a person's partner, they're out of order. They're gone too far. I mean, you're definitely out of order. It is not right. And like you said, we cannot force people we can't have a government that will control who you choose as a partner.
That's right.
You know, regardless of what I believe, what Sean agreed with. Yes, we Christians. I'm an elder in the church. Yes, I don't agree with certain things that God don't agree with in the book that I read. But at the same time, people still have a right to express themselves, as long as it's not breaking the law, as long as it's not hurting anybody, and as long as it's not bringing forth something that is unhumane. Well, you know what? I'm not even going to use that word. So erase that. Y'all didn't hear that. Y'all didn't hear that word. All right. So this is crazy. They want to regulate your bedroom. You know, they want to tell my kids who they can marry. They want to tell your kids who they can marry. And here's the crazy thing, people. It's going to be a law. See, it's different when somebody say, God say don't do this. It's another thing when the police show up at your door and they lock you up.
Yes.
They're going to make a law. So this is why it's so important for us as people. I don't care what color you are. People to not take this serious. Take it serious. Because I feel like we beating a dead horse. Because I would think more people are paying attention to it. And every time I ask somebody about it and they act like they don't know about it, I'm like, well, who are you voting for? What are you voting for? Do you know anything about policy? Are you just voting for popularity? Or you just voting because you say I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican or I'm an independent? Why are you voting?
Exactly.
All right. So I'm gonna finish playing this video because this video is packed with a lot of information, Sean. So we're really gonna have to stop it as it go along. We hear something we have a point about, because when we get to the end, we're not gonna remember everything that we need to discuss in this video. So I'm gonna back it up just a little bit, and I'm gonna play it.
Extending the arm of government into your home, into your bedroom, to enforce a Christian nationalist worldview. They consider this not just a policy preference, but a core function of governance itself. So much for limited government. It should be noted that traditional families, people who are married with children, no longer make up the majority of family compositions in the U.S., according to recent polling by the Pew Research Center. This shift in family structures is due in part to more same-sex couples adopting children or starting their own families, reflecting the diversity and evolving landscape of today's American society. That diversity, according to the authors of Project 2025, poses a danger to the, quote, very moral foundations of our society, end quote. The document lays out several proposals for
I'm gonna stop that right quick. So they want to control everything. I mean, I've seen single family homes where a mother has done a phenomenal job at raising her kids without a husband in it. And it's like this project, Sean, is basically saying women don't work. They don't want. It's like they want the man to pull all the weight. I don't know if they looked at the dollar lately. It ain't worth what it was worth when we were young.
It's not.
It's not worth what it was worth when women could stay home and care for their child. Right now, it takes two. It takes two,
does.
and
It does.
this imaginary image that they want to portray, it's not wrong for you say a man and a woman should be in the house to raise kids, but we live in America. But we live in a society where it just don't work out that way all the time. You may start out that way, but it just don't work out that way all of the time. And so people, listen to us. No, listen to what he just said. They are coming to they are coming to control every decision you make. If you don't, we can't tell you who to vote for if you can't choose the policies that you agree with. Am I saying that right, Sean? Choose the policies you agree with. And if it's in the hands of that person that you want to vote for, then that's what you vote for. If you feel that you can live with those policies.
Yeah, and this whole nucleus thing, it even goes beyond who you marry. It's going to go into trying to deny same-sex marriage couples from not being able to adopt and have children. Which is, here's the thing, they raise wonderful children, and they're so scared that every child that they're going to raise is going to end up gay, and they may. And they may not. You just have to leave it up to them, because here's the thing: there's tons of gay children coming out of traditional families. I mean, there's tons of them. I mean, most, if not all, of the gay children are coming out of what they call so-called traditional families, and the fact that they think that this is a fix-all, that this is going to fix society, it's going to fix the moral fabric of this country, it's not. Controlling it in this way is not. I mean, there's a lot of good children. I mean, there's a lot of children out there that are in the adopted system that need good homes, that aren't going anywhere. And you have same-sex couples that are taking them on and doing a wonderful job. I mean, they're loving them, they're raising them, they're allowing them to flourish. I mean, you really want to take away a pool of individuals that can help with the children out here that are absolutely have nowhere to go? And then I want you to look at it this way. If you do away with abortion, you're going to have more unwanted children, plain and simple. I mean, the sad truth is that some of these women, not all, I'm not saying all women, some of these children that are having abortions just do not want this child. They don't want it. I mean, they don't want anything to do with the child. And those children are going to be growing up in homes that they know they don't want anything to do with them. They're not going to have it, or they're going to do away with them and put them in adoption. Now, who's going to come along and take these children? Who's going to give these children a good home? Now, I understand that some women have to have an abortion for many different reasons, medical reasons, economic reasons, reasons of violence, where they're in an abusive relationship and they just can't have a child in that specific environment because they're trying to flee, and it's going to be harder to flee with a child. So, but the individuals that just do not want children, that probably don't need to have children. I mean, we all know women that probably don't need to have children, just as well as we know men that don't need to have children.
Yeah.
And those children have to have somewhere to be. So if this goes, if Project 2025 goes, then you're going to severely hurt children that need to be in a good home, because there's not going to be enough of the traditional American families to take these in, because they're going to be too busy having their own children.
Yeah. And Sean, now I'm kind of going to cut against the grain. And this goes for a lot of us. If you don't want children, there are so many different types of, contraceptives out there, birth control methods to make sure that doesn't happen to you. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of times people are being irresponsible, and then they want to go have an abortion. You didn't care. There is
some of that.
You knew that I can get pregnant. You didn't care. And as soon as you get pregnant, you're going to have abortion. But guess what? it is still that person's right. Do I agree with it? I'm not even going to have that conversation today. For me, murder is murder. But I understand if a woman gets raped, a woman has medical issues, or things like that. Listen, that's her right. Even if I don't agree, it's still a human right that we didn't make illegal. Right? We didn't make it illegal. We didn't say abortion is illegal. They're trying to make it that way. But the dangers of doing that will put those who have a valid reason to have one break the law, travel miles to go and abort a child that either going to kill them or the child has no chance of living a healthy life. You following me? So we can't take people's right to choose as long as it's not against the law, but they're trying to make it against the law.
Well, I will say this. If this law, abortion is not going to go anywhere. It's still going to be on the table. People are still going to get abortions. I have somebody in my family, very close to my family, that was telling me that they work for a particular company, and they are coming up with a way to connect people that need abortions with doctors that are willing to do them in a underground type setting, a very clean underground type setting, and they're using blockchain. They're using Bitcoin blockchain as a way to connect people that need abortions with doctors that are willing to give them. And by using the blockchain, they can absolutely do it anonymously. They can't be you can't view this information is going, from one thing. It's completely a lot about how Bitcoin is. For everybody out there, Bitcoin is the cryptocurrency, the digital. So they're already in the works. There's already things in the works right now that they're going to try to make sure that women will always have this kind of medical treatment if they choose so.
And I'm glad you said that, Sean. What this law would do, it will force people to make desperate decisions that will put their life and the license of the person helping them in jeopardy. It's going to, because when you take something from somebody,
and not to mention their freedom if they get caught.
Yeah, if you take something from somebody like that, they're going to find a way to do it. Even if they do it in their home, now they're risking their lives. Now, I mean, they're going to find, it's like the Underground Railroad, right? So this would be the Harriet Tubman type of, I ain't gonna use that word, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
So
I know what you're saying.
Let me play a little bit more of this video right here. But that was a great point, man, that, people, you ain't gonna stop folks. It's like trying to police a child from having sex. They gonna find a way if they at that age to do it. And people will find a way, whether legal or illegal, to make something happen.
That's right.
To the, quote, that very moral foundations of our society, end quote. The document lays out several proposals for undermining the rights of the majority of these families who do not fit Project 2025's definition of family. For instance, it wants the government to protect the right of businesses to discriminate against same-sex couples. It says,
see this? It's getting crazier. And I got to stop it right there. Did I stop it at a good point?
Yeah, no doubt.
You're going to discriminate. So they basically saying you come into our restaurant because you are a man with a man and one with a woman. We're not going to serve you. Man, that's
Jim
crazy.
Crow. That's Jim Crow
Jim
over
Crow
again.
On steroids. I mean,
that's Jim Crow all over again. I mean, just look. Okay, this group of people tout Constitution, Bill of Rights, Constitution. They tout it. Okay, now that same Bill of Rights and that same Constitution is now benefiting a group of people that they cannot stand. They don't want anything to do with it anymore. Now they want to rewrite it because now, as the years have gone by and as the amendments have piled up and as the legislation has come forth, people that they do not like, people that they do not want to associate with, are now enjoying the same freedoms they do. And now all of a sudden, there's something wrong with the Bill of Rights. There's something wrong with the Constitution. And we need to rewrite this thing so that it is now back to providing the rights for them. They want to move the goalpost again.
Yeah, and that's crazy that you will refuse service because there's a same-sex couple. This is getting crazy. I'm gonna play some more, Sean.
Federal grants should be made to faith-based groups that refuse to recognize same-sex marriage, specifically groups that, quote, affirm that.
Man, we can't even get past this. They're talking about giving. It's crazy.
Yeah.
They're talking about giving grants to businesses who refuse service.
Absolutely.
See, I went into my soprano voice.
And incentivizing it. They are incentivizing it.
This is crazy.
Right? Did I just make up a word, incentivize?
As Maya Angelou was here, she's like, it's wrong. It's just wrong.
It's just wrong, man.
Oh, my God. I'm going to go back a little bit, man. I don't know if we're going to get off of this. This is crazy. This is crazy. They just saying
I'm just telling everybody we might be doing this again next week.
For undermining the rights of the majority of these families who do not fit Project 2025's definition of family. For instance, it wants the government to protect the right of businesses to discriminate against same-sex couples. It says the federal grants should be made to faith-based groups that refuse to recognize same-sex marriage, specifically groups that, quote, affirm that marriage is between not just any two adults, but between one man and one unrelated woman, end quote.
So you know they're talking about churches, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just think about that. What organizations, churches are gone crazy now. Some churches, First Man, I am not going to get into that. But there are some churches that do agree with it. But then based off what he's saying, there are some who don't, who will be incentivized if they
will be.
stick to it. So I'm going to play some more.
Yep.
Man.
And while acknowledging that this would violate the Respective Marriage Act, which actually bans discrimination against same-sex couples, the document nonetheless calls for the government to, quote, protect faith-based grant recipients that maintain a biblically based, social science reinforced definition of marriage and family. I'm not making this stuff up. This is actually in the 922-page document. Its policy proposals demonize children who are raised in non-traditional households. It states in Project 2025, social science reports that assess the outcomes for children raised in homes aside from a heterosexual intact marriage are clear. All other family forms involve higher levels of instability, financial stress, or poverty, or poorer behavioral, psychological, or educational outcomes.
That's
federally funded family
planning. That is not true. That is not true at all. That is a lie. That's a plain up lie. When you're just looking at just plain success, and that just shows that they're just trying to say that these people are going to end up poor and broken. They're not. They're not going to end up poor and broken.
That's not true. That's far. That is far from the truth. Far from the truth. People, do y'all see? I don't even know if we're going to get through this video. Do y'all see how important it is for us people, to really, really dig deep into Project? I'm tired of saying honestly, I need another word. P2025. I'm tired of saying it. I'm literally tired of saying it. I wake up in the morning, 3:00. Project 25.
I know, right? I know, right?
Man, listen, I have had anxiety. I'm not getting no rest since I've been doing this. That's why I'm ready to finish this episode. I'm being real with y'all. I'm tired talking about it. But guess what? It is important. Y'all hearing it for yourselves in this video. I'm gonna play some more. You got a thought, Sean?
No, you keep moving.
Okay.
Planning clinics would be required to actively promote, quote, the importance of marriage, which describes homes without a husband as being amongst the most dangerous places for a child to be.
Yo, listen, y'all, we can't make this stuff up. Did you just hear what Project 2025 is saying? My mom was a single parent, right? I'm not dangerous. Sean grew up in a broken home. He's not dangerous. Exactly. We just proved them wrong. We just
proved them wrong. There's two people sitting. You got this guy right here. You got this guy right here that grew up. I could say I grew up in a very dysfunctional family. I mean, I was, and I think I turned out okay. I'm not killing anybody. I'm not robbing anybody. I'm not raping nobody. I'm not broke. So hey, so no, that's a lie. That's
So
a
I
lie.
think about it now. I grew up in an unfunctional home. It wasn't even functioning. Period. Beep. Not dysfunctional. Dysfunctional meaning that it could be functional. Mine was unfunctional. Like unfunctional.
Because I'm here to tell you right now, the grace of God is more powerful than anything. The grace of God is more powerful than anything.
Say it. Say it. Say
The
it.
grace of God is more powerful than anything.
That's right. And just because your child is from a single family home doesn't mean your child is going to be a dangerous person. This Project 2025 is horrible. I'm going to play some more. I'm going to take it back just a little bit so we don't sound crazy.
To actively promote, quote, the importance of marriage, which describes homes without a husband as being amongst the most dangerous places for a child to be. Amongst the most dangerous places for a child to be. Offensive and bigoted terminology is casually passed off throughout its pages, including urging the next Health and Human Services Secretary to put an end to, quote, woke transgender activism. One especially alarming proposal is to criminalize transgender identity as pornography.
Did y'all just hear what this man said? They're going to make it as I'm going to play it again because y'all think we be play pimping on this show.
I'm speechless. I'm
going to play it again. Y'all think we be play pimping on this show. Let me play this again.
Behavioral, psychological, or educational family planning clinics would be required to actively promote, quote, the importance of marriage, which describes homes without a husband as being amongst the most dangerous places for a child to be. Amongst the most dangerous places for a child to be. Offensive and bigoted terminology is casually passed off throughout its pages, including urging the next Health and Human Services Secretary to put an end to, quote, woke transgender activism. One especially alarming proposal is to criminalize transgender identity as pornography. This proposal takes its cue from Russia's so-called gay propaganda bill passed in 2022, which bans all forms of what it refers to as LGBTQ propaganda and prohibits Russians from promoting same-sex relationships. Similarly, Project 2025 considers the propagation of transgender ideology to be pornography. It mirrors similar rhetoric used by extremist groups such as Moms for Liberty to broadly oppose drag queen reading hours and to keep LGBTQ plus books out of libraries. Just 5 pages into the Project 2025 forward, the document states, quote, the people who produce and distribute it should be imprisoned. Educators and public...
Now, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with making that. I don't agree that something that inappropriate should be in schools. If you ain't gonna let the Bible in there, don't let that in there. You know, so I don't agree with allowing these things in schools because it promotes curiosity from my perspective. Because a young mind is not mature enough to hear certain things. Because it can't process it right. And it may be a misprocessing of that information that their child would have made a decision they would have never made if you brought it to them in a mature age. Now, I think if you're going to bring it, yes, we got to educate our children. Whether it's about same-sex marriage or not, you still have to educate them. But I think there should be a level of maturity per that child before something like that could be brought up for those discussions. But then we got it on TV too, you know. So it's either or, it is an and, or I don't know.
The way I view it is I don't understand it enough. I don't understand it enough as to what makes somebody want to feel like they're an opposite sex or a neutral sex or whatever it is that however they identify.
Yeah.
I don't understand it enough as to, with children, do they truly feel misplaced? Do they truly feel outside of what their autonomy says that they are? I don't understand it enough.
Yeah.
I do know that I've seen countless children in my lifetime to where something did seem off and they were very, very feminine.
Yeah.
And when they grew of age, they became they practiced a homosexual life, and it wasn't even a shock. It was kind of like I kind of saw that coming.
Yeah, I've witnessed that.
So I do not, me personally, I do not understand it enough to take the hard stance as to say it cannot exist, it cannot be talked about, and it cannot we cannot explore it. So I don't know where I stand on that. I honestly don't know. Yeah. That's about the best way I can say it, because I don't understand it enough. But I do see, for whatever reason, or whatever the purpose is, I do see the individuals that choose to change their gender. They really want to do it. They really are happy once they do it. You can see you can see that happiness in their life once they finally decide they're going to do it, make that change, and they feel like they're complete. And I don't understand why they feel they're complete, because to me it feels like, being who I am, it feels like that they would not be complete. But when you see them walking their walk and talking their talk, they're happy that they did it. So I've got to take the stance as to when I don't understand it, so I can't take the hard stance to say we can't do it, if that makes sense.
Now for me, no, I don't understand it either. But there has to be some education. I agree that there has to be some education. How that is done, I don't know how to say how it should be done. You follow me? Because if there is a young person who's deciding, I feel this way, they have to be properly educated, whether we agree with it or not. So for the books to be in there, I'm thinking now, for the books to be in school, should we limit the education of that child's curiosity for that child to not grow up and make bad decisions, because there's a psychological, how can I say it? Something psychologically has to take place before a person goes. They have to get some counseling before they start making these life decisions, cutting stuff off, remodifying things. You just can't just run. The doctor ain't just going to let you do it. He's going to say, hey, I need you to go talk to a counselor. So should our children be educated? It ain't going anywhere. I agree. When it comes to the books, I think it should be regulated. You following me? Okay. I think it should be regulated because these children is part of knowledge now. Our children have to be educated about it, so that if they see someone who's living an alternate lifestyle, you ain't gonna bash them, because now you have the education to know what you could cause this child psychological trauma. You following me? And so back in the days, and I'm glad we're talking about this, back in the days, they were beat up, they were brutalized because, like you said, I don't know enough. I don't understand. And people jumped on them and was angry about it because they didn't understand it. So because they didn't understand it, they used violence to show you shouldn't be doing this. You're not saying you shouldn't be doing this because you don't think it's right. You're saying you shouldn't be doing this because you don't understand it.
Absolutely. So this is going to get us right back to that.
Get us right back.
It's going to get us right back to that, and you're going to give federal grants to go out and gay bash. That's crazy.
Yeah. So
you're gonna it's going to be a government sanctioned activity.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and kick the video. I don't know if we're gonna get out this video, but it's getting worse and worse as we go.
And distribute it should be imprisoned. Educators and public librarians who purvey it should be classed as registered sex offenders. Telecommunications.
So,
before the break, I told you about Project 2025's alarming plan. It's 2025.
So, what me and you just said, educating these children. So, if there's a kid, he has no idea, he has no desire to want to be a homosexual, or a young girl who don't want to be a lesbian. So, it's saying if a teacher educate them about that, they should be thrown into prison.
Right.
This is
no. I don't think that's the case. No, because here's the thing: we have to look at this too. As far as there's a high population of men and women, or young children, boys and girls, who are struggling with their identity, struggling with their sexuality, and because the world, and I'll say this, because the world does not accept it. it seems like it's the cardinal sin. It's the sin that God supposedly hates the most, which that's a lie. There's no sin that God hates the most. So he hates all sin. So we have to walk away from the fact that we're going to use this as the cardinal sin that we're all going to get behind and push in order to get somebody elected. That should not be the case.
Yeah.
And we've got a high population of young men and women who are struggling with their sexuality. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. Not struggling, because struggling to come out of with their sexuality, because they're not struggling with it, because I think they know what they are, but they're struggling to come out. And there's so much fear and so much stigmatism behind it that these young men and women are taking their own lives. Yeah. They're rather to take their lives than to come out, because they don't want to tell their father, they don't want to tell their dad, they don't want to tell their church leaders, they don't want to tell their teachers. And that's already a problem.
Yeah.
So if we start this right here, we're going to completely cut off any avenue, any vehicle that these young men and women have to talk about it, have to come out and have safe spaces to where they feel like they could talk about it. And at the end of the day, we've got to talk about it. We've got to have those hard conversations. We do. And you have this Project 2025 that's trying to build this perfect religious family. Mm-hmm. But the perfect religious family doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't.
You paint these same-sex relationships, you paint these same-sex marriages as sinful, demonic, and should not exist, and they should all die. But these so-called perfect families are committing sins as well. Yeah. I mean, you're preaching hate. You're telling your kids you're better than this group of people. You're telling your kids you're better than that group of people. Sin is happening in every family, and we cannot, as a government, come in there and say yours is the worst. Yeah. Yours shouldn't exist. We should eradicate you all. And if we get caught up into the situation where these other countries, like you got Russia, for example, and you've got some Arabian nations, for example, and you've got some African nations, for example, to where they go out and actively hunt and murder these people.
Yeah.
We cannot, as a society, start that. We cannot go down that path. Yeah. Because that was the ugly us back during slavery, when we were hunting black men and women because they didn't want to be a slave anymore, and they were hanging them from a tree and letting dogs devour them. We cannot go back to that. We got away from that. Let's not turn around and go back, people. Yeah. Let's not become that society all over again, because we are vicious. We are vicious creatures. We can tend to be very vicious creatures. And if we at the government level unleash that viciousness, it's not going to be pretty, people. It's not going to be pretty.
Yeah. And Sean, most of these kids have been forced into homosexuality or lesbianism, man, because they weren't protected in the home. You know, every kid didn't just wake up one day and say, hey, I want to be a transgender, or I want to be a lesbian. No. Most of them have been touched, but that's a different conversation for a different show. But I'm going to play some more of this video if we can get off of it.
Simple choice: greatness or failure. This very idea of America seems to exclude the vast majority of American families today, most of whom do not fit Project 2025's Christian nationalist mold. Before the break, I told you about Project 2025's alarming plans for American families that don't conform to conservatives' biblical vision. For more on this, I'm joined by Melissa Murray. She's a professor of law at NYU, an MSNBC legal analyst, the co-host of the Strict Scrutiny podcast, and a leading expert in family law, which is not something to talk about on this show, Melissa. We talked to you about a lot of things generally, but you know about this. It's wild reading, Project 2025. Wild reading on a lot of levels, but this part about family, it's really wild reading. It makes no bones about what it believes a family should be. And what we're talking about, gay families and transgender kids, forget that. It doesn't even think single parenting is legitimate.
No, that's exactly right. We've been covering Project 2025 on the Strict Scrutiny podcast, Ali, and we're calling it disaster piece theater because this is an absolute disaster for American women. Not only is it terrible for same-sex families, it's terrible for any family that doesn't fit the breadwinner husband, dependent housewife with children mold. And that's most American families these days. And they're not hiding the ball, and they haven't been hiding the ball. This has been the conservative playbook for some time, to advocate a return to a more quote unquote traditional family, not a family with working mothers, not a family headed by single working mothers, but a family headed by a breadwinner father. It's very Gilead forward, if you understand my reference. It's why I'm wearing red today. And it will be an absolute disaster for American women. And I think that's really worth emphasizing. It is pro-family, but the family that they want is one where the woman is homebound, raising children, and it's just not the model that most American families.
Yeah, so I'm gonna stop that because I know we're gonna get through all of that. But like they're saying, basically, they want us to go back to where men were the breadwinner, and the woman, she stayed at home, barefoot and pregnant, and could not contribute financially to the home. Yeah, when the dollar was, popping, that would have made sense, but not today. It's not today.
And not to mention, we got to look at it this way. Just because, and I want everybody to think about this, just because the traditional family was a certain way at a certain time in life, where we could financially do that, that does not mean that women wanted it that way. That just means that they were forced into that. I think everybody has to understand that women have been marginalized since the beginning of time. I mean, we've absolutely had periods of time where certain individuals were marginalized throughout the history of mankind. But women have gotten the bad rap since day one.
Yeah.
And they've always continued to get the bad rap. They fought just as hard as every other marginalized group of people to fight for their rights, fight for their rights to vote, fight for the rights to have a voice, fight for the rights to get out of the kitchen, to put some shoes on and stop being pregnant all the time. They fought for that. And there's a reason why they fought for that, because they knew that they had something more to offer the world. They absolutely have something more to offer the world. But this group of individuals don't care. They want these women in a certain place. And if they could, they would remove their right to vote, because if there's plenty of evidence out there where they were saying that all the problems of this country started once they gave women the right to vote. And they would love to see women lose that right so they could take over again, because women are more compassionate. They're more compassionate than we are.
Yeah.
When they vote with their hearts a lot of time. So we have to look at that. This really, really, really hurts the woman. I mean, really, really hurts the woman, and we got to look at that. We all have sisters. We all have mothers. We got women in our family that we love and we care for. Do we love and care for them enough to where we don't take them back to a archaic way of doing things?
Yeah, and it's male chauvinism. It's everything. It's back to the caveman days.
Yeah.
If there were ever a real caveman day.
Exactly.
He walking around with a big bone that he done took from a dinosaur, and he walking around, woman, you stay here, feed children, cook, do nothing. I be back with food. First of all, we already know men in America has failed the household. Men in America have failed the household, and women were forced. They were forced to be the breadwinner. They were forced to take care of the kids. Even when a couple split up, dad don't even think about it. Kids go with the mama. It's like she automatically know, and I'm use this word, I'm stuck with the kids. It's not a stuck for her, but as far as the man is concerned, he's sticking her with the kids.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely, because there was a time to where I would watch my children, and all of my wife's girlfriends and stuff was like, "Oh, you got such a good man. He does things with the children. He does that." No, I'm doing what I'm supposed to. I shouldn't have been praised for something that I should be doing.
Yeah.
But a lot of men, they don't take time with the kids because they're like, well, I work, I make the money, so your job is to take care of the kids. No, their job is not to take. Our job is to take care of the kids.
It's more obligation.
And one last thing, I know I've been running my mouth a lot tonight.
No, you good. Go ahead on, brother.
I know countless people that came out of traditional families that were wrecked by that traditional family. I mean, absolutely wrecked by it. You know, they on paper, they were the best white picket fence. You know, they had everything going for them. But man, there was a lot of horrible things going on in those homes. So I'm telling you, people out there, that traditional family, where it could be ideal, it can be ideal, but it's not ideal because there's just so many horrors going on in there as you think the horrors are going on in untraditional families, because there's not a big boogeyman. There's not horrors happening in untraditional families. There's absolutely horrors going on in traditional families.
Yeah. So, you know, we've talked about the nucleus family. So next up, you know, let us talk about, Sean, officers getting federal immunity. So Project 2025 refers to an initiative proposed by some of the political groups, right, that aim to reinform law enforcement and enhance police power. While the specific details may vary depending on, you know, what they want to do, but they want to give police officers, and Donald Trump said it, federal immunity, and he says so they can do their job. Why do they need federal immunity to do their job? All they need is the rule of law to do their job. But Donald Trump says they need federal immunity so that they can do their job. Listen.
I mean, I know what it is. I mean, what it is, it's fitting in his law and order platform where he was like, he's going to crush all crime, because he said, I'm going to crush all crime. And the only way you can even come close to something like that is a shock and awe type campaign. A straight up just bashing over the heads, taking life, violence. I mean, you have to, the only way you can stop all violence is you have to meet it with an exceeded amount of violence.
That's right.
That's the only, you have to exceed that violence that you're tackling.
Yeah.
And that is what this is all about. And that is going to get good people in the crosshairs, plain and simple, because whenever you give somebody the right to violence, they're never going to do it right. Yeah. They're always going to go too far because they're always going to add their own self to it, their own prejudices to it, their own hate to it. You cannot give somebody legal violence and think it's going to work. It will not work.
And then when you give an officer that type of power, you increase protection over them. Now this person is the judge, the jury, and the court, all in one thing. So they want to expand legal protection to law enforcement officers, making it more difficult for them to be prosecuted in the event that they violate your legal rights. That is why Donald Trump wants to give increased protection, qualified immunity. Come on. If you're an officer and you're going to do your job, why do you need to have immunity? Why? Right? So this legal doctrine will protect them, those government officials, including police officers, keep them from being held liable for constitutional violations, unless it is shown that they have clearly violated something. How can you prove that when you give them immunity? Anything that they say is what you're going to believe, right?
It's too vague. It's way too vague. Absolutely.
So Project 2025 is going to bolster this immunity further if we do not vote the right policies. So I'm going to play this video next about police immunity.
All right.
Full federal immunity for police officers would mean that they are protected from being sued.
Okay. Full, not half,
full,
not partial, full
Yeah.
federal immunity. Meaning there ain't nobody going to ask them nothing. What happened? Okay, all right, lock them up.
I mean, you want to give, oh my God, it just hit me. You want to give civil servants the same immunity that a president of the United States has. Because a president of the United States now, going off of what the Supreme Court just said, has full immunity over any decision that is done in the office of the president of the United States.
Yeah.
So you're literally giving a civil servant that's not even attached to federal. It's a state-run organization that's not even attached to a federal. You want to give them full immunity just like you would give the president of the United States.
And, reduced accountability will enhance immunity. It will lead to misconduct, potential resulting in tolerating things that normally we wouldn't tolerate, undermining the public trust in law enforcement. That's a war, Sean.
Dude,
you're trying to create a war.
The military doesn't even have full immunity. Listen to me, people. The military doesn't even have that. They will throw somebody in the stockades in a heartbeat for killing the wrong person in war.
Yeah. And Sean.
But yet you want to give a civil servant full immunity. That's insane.
Sean, when officers are not held accountable, that's an erosion of our civil rights. We have civil rights for a reason. They protect us from imminent danger. When you have a man with a firearm on his side, he have a badge, he has a radio, he has the ability to call more other people over there with him who got more guns than you got, right? This, that's right. Man, this will disappropriately affect the marginalized communities that I grew up in, right?
That's right.
And exacerbate issues of systemic racism. Listen, it would exacerbate systemic racism in a way you ain't never heard, and equality and inequality. This would be horrible. Horrible.
Well, here's the thing. We've already seen this, where these same police departments had full immunity back in the 50s and 60s, when they could just go in anybody's house and bash their head in, pull out the father of a black family because he supposedly looked at somebody and hang him up by the nearest tree. We've already seen this. Yeah. These laws were put in place because we've already been there. We've already experienced this. Listen, they're trying to go back to what it once was and unwrite the laws that stop police officers from doing this kind of behavior.
Yeah. And Sean, the public safety concerns, listen, if an officer feels like there's no repercussions, right? This will increase, this will increase police brutality. It will increase it. Police brutality, misconduct, which will ultimately compromise public safety rather than enhance it.
It will
do that if we give police officers full, not state, federal.
And it will migrate itself into the same people that think it's going to protect them.
Yeah.
I promise you. Martin Luther King said, if one person's not free, nobody's free. I'm telling you, people.
Yeah.
You think it's going to help you in the short term, but it's going to hurt everybody in the long term.
Yeah, I'm gonna play this video, man, because it's very interesting.
Federal immunity for police officers would mean that they are protected from being sued or prosecuted for actions taken while performing their duties, regardless of whether those actions violate individuals' rights or break the law. This immunity would shield them from legal accountability at the federal level, effectively allowing them to act without fear of legal consequences.
Let me tell you something right now.
Yeah.
If you give a police officer that type of power, right, Sean? The chances of him pulling any of us over is slim to none. It's gonna be a flat out war. It's gonna be, because we're not laying down on this. Nobody's gonna lay down on this. This Project 2025, this is why we're trying to tell all of you out there, listen, subscribe, share this podcast with friends and family so they can get educated. The reason we're bringing videos up, so you don't think we're just talking out the side of our neck. You know, and these videos are letting you know that these things are being put in place.
Yes.
They're being set up. Listen, the Project 2025 they are choreographing a play and a plan to put us in a situation where there's no democracy. They ain't gonna undermine it. They're gonna assassinate it.
Yes.
That's what they're going to do. They're gonna assassinate it. So I mean, in summary, Project 2025 aims to improve law enforcement practices, right? By increasing officer immunity, no accountability, no community trust. Without this, law don't matter. Police officers don't matter. We're not the people of the 1940s or the 1800s. We will defend our life if you put our back against the wall. And that's what would happen. There are more of us than police officers if you look at it. I mean, in one neighborhood, you might got 4 police officers. What, 3, 4, 500 people? You put about 10 of them with guns in their hand, they don't stand a chance. This will be a bloody mess if something like this gets passed. Now, we've been really talking a lot. We got stuck on a video. Listen, share this. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's in the description bar. It's in the description. Sean, we got to talk about women's rights. And I know we talked a little bit about it when we were on the first part of it. But so we have to discuss this because Project 2025 will affect women's rights due to potential policies and reforms in the areas that directly impact women's lives when it comes to abortion, birth control. I mean, even them not working. It's like they're going to make a rule for them not to work, especially when they talk about reproductive health, right?
Right.
Why would we let a policy restrict reproductive health care, such as abortion access, contraceptive services? Man, this can significantly diminish women's anatomy over their bodies and reproductive choices. They have a right, just like we have a right as a man to do certain things when it comes to our bodies.
Yeah, and here's the thing. There's not one piece of legislation, not one idea in there that will even touch our right to our bodies. That where we won't even, men have nothing to worry about inside of this Project 2025 that's going to make us have to decide how we're going to get our treatment, decide what avenue we're going to do to get our treatment, because there's nothing in there. It's solely going after women. It's solely attacking women.
And not only that, Sean, Project 2025 is going to have workplace protections, right? Labor laws regulating the impact of discrimination, sexual harassment, and equal pay. Women work just like we work. If we're doing the same job, they should get paid the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So if they activate this workplace protection, that's going to affect the woman. My wife works at a job. So do I want her working at a job where there's no regulations for workplace discrimination, sexual harassment, equal pay, women's rights in the workplace? What? Come on.
Yep.
Stuff like this will make it bad for a woman. They have it bad enough. Women have it bad enough.
They do.
So this Project 2025 is going to hurt them. It's going to hurt them, especially access to social services. They're going to restrict that. They're going to cut change in funding for social services. Listen, it can affect a lot of programs, right? Domestic violence, they're not going to have no protection when it comes to domestic violence. Child care assistance.
That's right.
Listen, it's going to get bad for the woman if this Project 2025 is enacted.
I'm bold enough to go say that it will increase rape in this country.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely increase rape in this country.
Absolutely. On at the job.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah. So I'm gonna play this video, Sean, and let's see what we got.
When Donald Trump's Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, millions of Americans lost the right to make their own healthcare decisions. And now Trump's team has a detailed blueprint for what his next 4 years, God forbid, would look like, called Project 2025. Mr. Wu, you're very familiar with Trump's Project 2025 and have a deep legal background. I want to ask you some rapid-fire questions, so if you could just start off with yes or no. These current abortion bans, including one in my home state of Florida, are ruining women's economic security. Would Project 2025 make those economic hardships worse for American women?
Yes, I believe so.
We know Trump abortion bans keep women in abusive relationships. Would Project 2025 make those horrible situations even worse?
Yes.
These Trump abortion bans disproportionately harm already vulnerable populations, especially low-income and communities of color. Would legal assaults on abortion rights in Project 2025 inflict even more harm on these communities?
Yes.
There we go. I mean, they're going for the jugular when it comes to women. Listen, ladies, y'all need to pull up Project 2025 and look at what they plan to do to our beautiful women. Okay, what color you are. That's economic opportunity policies that will affect training, economic support. This can influence women economic empowerment. This is not right. This is why we're trying to promote the education, of what Project 2025 can do for women. It's just going to be a horrible, horrible plan. It is a horrible, horrible plan. It doesn't make sense, man. It doesn't make sense at all. So, like I said, it can impact women's rights. These policies for reproductive health, workplace protection, social services, legal framework, overall, social attitudes. This will hurt our people.
That's right.
So, Sean, we're gonna let's explore. Do you have any more thoughts on women's rights?
Yeah, I've got one more thought.
Yes, sir.
I got one more thought, and not to mention you have them going after this transgender gay population as being this the danger of everything, but nobody in this Project 2025 is even talking about. They want to get rid of abortion. Nobody's talking about these young girls that are getting raped. These young girls that are being sexually abused at young ages and getting pregnant at young ages. And now you're saying, and it's an epidemic. I mean, you know as well as I do. It's an epidemic. There are far too many stories of young girls that are getting raped by older men. And these women are getting these young girls are getting pregnant. And now you're going to tell them, now you've got to carry your abuser's child. You've got to birth your abuser's child, and you ain't got nothing to say about it. Your family that wants justice has nothing to say about it. That right there, that is crazy to me.
Yeah, that is crazy. That's crazy. So this is why we as a people, let's educate ourselves. Let's get familiar with what's in this Project 2025. Like I said, I'm tired of saying the word Project 2025. So, Sean, to close out our show, we definitely can't leave without talking about the Department of Education. So, if Project 2025 makes these funding changes, right, these budgetary reforms, it will lead to changes in allocations for public education, impacting schools and education programs across our country. This could affect resources available for all our students, my grandkids, Sean, your grandkids, and teacher education and education initiatives. So this thing that they're trying to do with get rid of the Department of Education will kill curriculum standards. I mean, it will kill educational equality. This thing will hurt our children in a major way. Sean, have you seen the new grade point schedule for kids now?
What? No. Explain what you mean. Because all my kids are out of school. All my kids are out of school.
No, I'm talking about our grandkids.
Okay.
So now, Sean, my phone's going off. Sorry about that. Now, a C is a 46 to a 64 is now a C in school.
Oh. Wow. Okay.
we're going to talk about that, but
yeah, I didn't know anything about that.
That's a different show. That is a different show. And a B is a 65 to 70.
Okay.
It's just horrible. Anyway, and
I'd
then
have
if
to look into that.
they get rid of the Department of Education, man. I mean, without educational equality, man, equity. I mean, we lost.
By getting rid of the Department of Education, you're killing off any federal funding that's going to go to these schools.
And it's public schools, by the way.
And you're public schools. This is only public schools, because private schools can teach whatever curriculum they want to. There's not a whole lot stopping a private school from teaching how they want to teach.
Yeah.
So those schools with the individuals that love and believe in what this Project 2025 has to offer them.
You can't hardly say it no more.
I can't hardly say it anymore. Those schools are going to have the federal curriculum, the federal programming that they want. Now, they need to get the federal programming that they want into these public schools, because it's all about ending wokeness and only teaching certain things and getting rid of certain things out of the curriculum, so that these children can't think for that. They're trying to keep these children from thinking for themselves.
Yeah.
That's in a nutshell. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Because they don't trust. They don't trust that a child is going to think the way that they want them to think. They don't trust that a child is going to grow up and become anything great. They got this weird notion that all public schools are a waste. That all public schools, that nothing good comes out of public schools. Yeah. That only greatness comes out of private institutions. That greatness does not come out of public schools. And so they want to change that outlook. They think they're going to change something by having a federal type programming. Mm-hmm. And that federal programming is what's in this Project 2025. And I would also believe you that they're going to pull out some books out of the library, but make sure that Project 2025 book stays in.
Yeah. And listen, it's going to affect teacher qualification and training. If this reform is passed, teacher programs and professional development changes in these areas will impact education preparedness and education diversity, because now the teacher is not trained well, because when you take these federal dollars out of the public schools, now teachers can't get the training that they need. They can't get the education that they need to make sure that our children in public schools get all of the education that they need. I mean, even school choice vouchers, they're talking about getting rid of that. What?
Yep.
I'm going to be honest. When I was in school, Sean, we were poor. I look forward to lunch. Sometimes I would go to school.
Man, that's the only time I ate, man.
Listen, when I went to school,
that was the only time I ate.
I'll be looking at the clock. I'll be like, listen, I can't wait for lunch.
That was my only meal. That was my only meal.
I didn't have lunch at home. You know, we ate breakfast and dinner, and sometimes we didn't get that. But my mom made sure.
Sometimes I didn't get that. Lunch was all I got.
Oh wow! Man, I just love them.
That's all I got.
Remember the pieces they had at school? Them pieces was good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you know, if they kill the Department of Education, they're gonna kill student support services. I mean, come on. Listen, any of these, if they pass federal regulations on any of these things, public school is going to be the worst.
It will.
It's going to be the worst.
It will.
So, listen.
And then, not to mention, you're criminalizing what teachers teach. I mean,
Absolutely.
you're putting a anxiety on teachers. They're like, oh my God, I might go to jail for something I teach. Well, does that make any sense to anybody?
Yeah. So listen, today we talked about women's rights. We talked about police officers getting immunity. We talked about the nucleus family. Listen, I hope you guys got something off of this show today. And you know, me and Sean, we pour our heart out to get you guys this content, to get you guys this information. And listen, we want you to tune in. Next week, we're going to let you know what our topic going to be, but it will not be Project 2025. I'm done with it. And I'm still going to be studying it. Sean, what you got to say to take us out, man?
Yeah, I just want to let everybody just understand that there's no perfect anything in this world. There's no perfect anything And we just got to make work what we have. Love who we're going to love and be who is what we're going to be with. And we cannot tell anybody that they're wrong for doing so. We have to allow them. We got to allow them to love who they're going to love, be who they're going to be, and come to their own realization however that works out for them, however that is. Because, man, this is a tough world, and we're just all trying to figure it out, man.
Yeah. And listen, as we wrap up this episode of Mind Changers Podcast, it is clear that taking an initiative to educate yourself about Project 2025, people, is essential. This initiative can significantly impact our education system, women's rights, civil liberties, but by understanding its implications, we empower ourselves to engage in meaningful discussions and to advocate for equitable policy. See, knowledge is our strongest tool for influencing positive change in our communities. So let's stay informed and active, ensuring our voice are heard. Thank you for joining Mind Changers Podcast tonight. And as we go, we hit you with this.
We told y'all we came to expose the lies and reveal the truth. We told y'all we bring in biblical principles and factual truth. We told y'all